Good morning, everyone. I think we're going to get started with, I'm just told, is what we're calling the Frank Luntz event. I want to welcome you to the National Press Club. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is David Crane. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of NRG Energy, which is perhaps probably a company that you haven't heard of, but if you would have seen the advertisement in today's Wall Street Journal, you will find us somewhere on this page. I'm not exactly sure where, but in any case, NRG Energy is a wholesale power generation company. We own 24,000 megawatts of power plants around the United States, which means we produce enough electricity to serve about 20 million American homes, and we do that across the country. As a result, and we're not very different from most other American power companies in that we own coal-fired generation. We emit 64 million tons of carbon a year, which I think makes us the 9th largest emitter of CO2 in the country. Notwithstanding that, the reason I've come down to Washington today is for two purposes. One is that I personally and my company are strong believers that it's time now for Congress to enact and the President to sign comprehensive energy and climate change legislation. And I think by my presence, I think you should recognize the uniqueness of the situation that we face here, where I think maybe never before, if you look at these 80-plus industrial companies here, never before, I think, has American business asked Washington to regulate it on the environmental scale. So on an environmental matter, you have actually the business community out in front of where Washington is.
And I will tell you, having now done this research, that the least important component of climate change is climate change. That Americans are more concerned about national security. They're more concerned about the health of the environment. They're more concerned about creating jobs in this country, particularly new technology, innovation. They're more concerned about losing jobs to China and India. And while the importance of addressing the science of climate change exists, as I will show you, it's actually the least important component of this desire among Republicans and Democrats alike to create a cleaner, safer, healthier world.
And always when you see what's listed as part of the liberal Democratic agenda, energy and climate change legislation is listed as one of those things. I've been a CEO for a long time. I know a lot of the CEOs that are on this list, and I can tell you I can't name one that's a liberal Democrat. They're either moderate Democrats or they're Republicans in terms of their political affiliations. And energy legislation and climate change legislation, in our perspective, is not part of the liberal Democratic agenda. It's about making America competitive in terms of the clean energy future that actually other countries are getting ahead of us now, and it's about energy independence as well.
You know, a bill did pass in the House, and a different bill will pass in the Senate. The conversations are going. If you asked us to show you now what will pass in the Senate, no one can do that because the conversations are there, and it hasn't gelled, but there's a very good chance that it will gel. One of the things that some folks in the nuclear industry have pointed out is, you know, a big driver for nuclear power would be a declining limit on carbon pollution, which, by the way, is a big driver for a lot of the other solutions. So, you know, that is a performance-based system that isn't picking winners, and it moves private capital into all of these technologies. David brought up China before. I just want to, you know, comment that China has an easier job in a lot of ways than we do in all this in their governmental system. They've been able to invest, I think, close to $500 billion a year in some of these technologies. We've got a sheet we can be happy to send anyone who wants it about all the things China is doing very effectively to promote these clean energy technologies. Now, the United States, if it wants to be in the game, we're not going to have industrial policy. I personally don't think that would be a good idea. How do we get in the game? The only way to get in the game is to get the private capital moving. It's kind of a very centrist idea, Republican, Democrats. Private capital moves when you send a market signal, and that's the status quo breaker that the declining cap gives you.
And by the way, that there is the economic freedom. It's one of the reasons why Republicans do support the policy. The principle behind it is that concept of economic freedom and free markets.